welcome to this video about how to crush your challenges. Whenever you come about something that you just can't seem to get through, right? You have some kind of string shifting or stretching challenge, which are the two examples we're going to look at today, then how to absolutely crush them. And this is a really effective strategy. So let's just get to it. Let's say you have a hard time, with the alternate picking string shifts, which is a really common challenge. And so what that is basically, let's just say you're playing 4 notes up and down, right? You have 3 notes on one string and you have 1 note on the next, and then you go right back again. In this case, we're in the 9th, the 10th, and the 12th fret on the D string, right? And then we have the 9th fret on the G string. So I basically just go up and down these notes, back and forth, starting with the downstroke, right? And then an upstroke, and then right back again to the same string. And you can start with a downstroke or you can start with an upstroke. It gives you 2 different kinds of double string shifts, which is what I call them, because you go from one string to another and then right back again right away. That's the downstroke first, and then you can start with an upstroke, which gives you another kind of string shift, which is an inside string shift. Enough about that. The whole point here is that if you struggle with that, what is it that you're struggling with? You're basically struggling with picking on one string and then making that jump to another string and then back again. That's the key. That's the point here of struggle, right? So instead of trying to make that easier, make it harder. And that's the key. So instead of just, hitting the next string, why not hit the next string again? Skip a string, make it even more impossible for you to do. Then gain some power there, build some muscle by lifting much more than you can. And then return back to the easy challenge afterwards. So what we basically do is that we create a bigger problem for you. So when you return to the old problem, it seems like, it's nothing, right? So let's try to do that. So we have the 9th, the 10th, and the 12th fret on the D string. Now, instead of hitting the 9th fret on the G string and going up like that, we go all the way up to the B string and we hit the 8th fret, right? So I go... Right? So I make that string shift happen all the way up there and skip a string without hitting the string in between. So basically what I'm playing is 9, 10, 12 on the D string and then 8 on the B string, skip the G string, and then right back and do the 12th fret on the D string, the 10th fret on the D string, and then right back to the beginning again in the 9th fret on the D string. And this is, this was the old Paul Gilbert challenge that I ran into at 16 years of age, and I hammered away at for months. And what he suggested was that you actually repeat the harder part. You repeat the right. So you do 2 of these string shifts. So now we made it harder by skipping a string, and then we're doing it twice. So we're really putting on some weight here. And of course, you cannot do it very fast. But that's the whole point. You increase the weight, and then you focus on that instead of going the other direction and pulling back and trying to do something that's easier. And then you practice that to perfection. You practice that without making mistakes all the time, which is key. So you simply just go. So if you're having a hard time doing this, sorry, I am having a hard time doing that, all right? And you're struggling with that, then you simply go and change the challenge to something harder, and then try to just plan on, let me do this 1,000 times. Let me do the harder challenge with the string skipping and the double. Let me do that 1,000 times. Right? Let me do it 100 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Or 1, 2, or let me do each 100 times, right? And then, until I have 1,000 repetitions, you can do that and just sit on the count and really do it, like to see what happens, right? To be curious, to see what would happen if I did that 1,000 times. And then go right back to going, and just feel how small and relatively easy that feels now. Just to feel that in your body. And I really urge you and recommend that you do that right now. Do 1,000 repetitions of something that's much harder, but it's the same challenge basically. And then go right back and do the Again, just to feel and sense and get an experience in your body of how that feels, because that's what creates new actions. Once you have that experience, you're going to do it again and again and again because you want to get to the good stuff, right? So you're going to think like that in the future, but you won't think like that just by listening to me. You have to get the experience yourself. So please do it. Another little example before I go is like if you have a hard time stretching between, doing that whole tone interval on one string, like that we have to do when we go from the cage shapes, where we have shapes, normal, minor, major scale shapes, where we have 2 notes on one string to keep that whole thing in a vertical sense, and we go to the 3-note per string shapes. If you have a problem doing these 2 whole tones here, and you say, oh, that's stretching, then try doing a minor third and a whole tone, right? Stretch even more, or doing, 2 minor thirds. Then play like that for a full day or for a full week. Forget about the old challenge of going 2 whole tones. Just play through. Like play like that instead, and stretch it out even further and really struggle. Go up higher if it's too much of a struggle. Take breaks if your hand is like that. But then focus on something much harder, and then go right back to the 2 whole tones, which is going to seem seriously, you thought that was a problem, right? And if you try to play 3-note per string pentatonics or blues scale, where you take the blues scale and lay that 6-note scale out, 3 notes per string, and you say, oh, that's hard stretches, man, I can't hit it. Then do it even more. Then do 2/3, the diminished, or do like 2 whole tones in between the first and second finger, and then 2 whole tones again between the second and the fourth. And really go, this is... And then play like that, play weird music for a week. Really practice that and practice sequences. It gives you some interesting stuff when you start applying sequences that to this crazy shape. Then play like that for a week. Get used to it. That's the key. Get used to it. Once you're used to it, then go back to the easier stuff, which is, that used to be hard, and then start practicing that. I should say, when you've been playing, 2 or 4 frets in between each finger for a week, you need to actually learn to play, a minor third and a whole tone like that. But it's going to be, the stretch is going to be like, it's nothing. So that's the point of this video. Try it out. Get the experience in both things. Focus on something much harder. Then do that for a period of time. So you normalize it. You just do it, right? And then return to the thing that used to be a challenge.